Pretty much the number one question that I get asked is this: how do I prevent my concealer from creasing? Well, I will be the first to tell you that if you have any kind of lines around your eyes, whether they are fine lines or laugh lines, as I lovingly call them, your concealer will crease eventually. But I do have a technique that I like to use on myself and my clients, as well as some tips along the way to help keep that at bay as long as possible. I myself will notice a little bit of creasing by the end of the night because I have laugh lines and maybe a few fine lines, but that's okay. My face moves and so does yours. At least I hope it does. By the way, I'm Jeannie. I'm a pro makeup artist. I live in Los Angeles. I work with celebrities, beauty brands, and everyone in between. Welcome to my channel. Side note, these tips don't work for everyone. Every face is different. But this is a technique that I like to use on myself and my clients that I find works the best. As always, I'm starting with a clean and dry face. I've already prepped my skin with moisturizer and my brows are done. Step one is setting spray. This one from Milk I really love. It's the Hydro Grip setting spray. It's also great to use as prep, as I've used in other videos. Usually for every day I tend to use this one from Hourglass. It's the Soft Focus setting spray. It's a little more lightweight, but because we're essentially trying to create a bulletproof under eye, I'm gonna go in with the heavy hitter and use the Milk. So I'm just gonna shake it and spray it over my face. Now that the setting spray is dry, which usually only takes a couple of seconds, I'm going to apply a super hydrating eye cream. I'm using the IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Cream eye cream just because it does exactly as I said. It's very, very hydrating, and it also helps to depuff a little bit too. Just taking a little on my ring fingertips right here, and then just gently tapping under the eye. I always like to make sure that I go into the groove in the inner eye as well because I'll be applying concealer there too. But like I said, we just want to make sure that this area is very, very hydrated. You don't want to put concealer on top of skin that's patchy or dry because it's just going to grab that texture and you won't have a smooth under eye. Next, we're going to take a clean powder puff and we're just going to press where we applied that under eye cream. This is to help it penetrate and to pick up any excess that might be left on the skin. The next step is foundation because I want to show you what steps I would take as if I was doing makeup on myself or on a client, and this would be the next step. I'm just going to apply a light, thin layer of this Nars Light Reflecting Foundation onto my face with a brush. So just buffing it in. Like I said, applying a really thin layer all over. You can also use a sponge for this, but I had the brush nearby, so I reached for it. Just bringing it down the neck, just to match my face to my chest. You can bring it up under the eye like this. All right, now time for the concealer. The one that I'm going to show you today is the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. I chose this one because it's a liquid as opposed to a cream, and it's also a really pretty formula that sits really nicely on the skin, and once you set it, it really doesn't crease. I'm going in with the number 2.75, which is Cannelle, and I have a little bit on the back of my hand. I'm going in with the Real Techniques concealer brush, taking a little bit on the brush and then just placing it right here in the inner corner of the eye, just tapping lightly, and then a little on the outer part of the eye right there. And then I'm just going to bring it in and gently tap. And then if I need to, I'm going to pick a little bit more up and just keep lightly tapping under the eye, not rubbing. You want to tap and press into the skin. I like to use my finger and just press in. The warmth of my finger is going to help that product really settle into the skin nicely. I'm going to show you another technique on this side. I'm just going to use my finger, grab a little bit of the product, and just press directly from my finger onto the under eye. So you don't need a brush. I like to use a brush sometimes, just depends on how I'm feeling. But really press it into that inner eye and then just gently tap all the way out, making it really seamless. And if you want to just take a little on top of the lid. Honestly, sometimes our fingers are our best tools. You don't always need a brush or a sponge. So taking clean fingers once again, we're just gonna make sure that we don't have any creases in our concealer before we set the under eye. Now we're gonna do the first step of setting. I'm just gonna take a loose powder. This is the one by Saie Beauty. I believe that's how you say it. I just knocked a little of it into the lid right here, and then I'm gonna take this fluffy brush from Thrive Cosmetics and just dip it into the powder. Kind of get it in there, and then tap it off. And then we're just going to lightly set the under eye, sort of using that same pressing motion that we were using when we were applying the concealer. We don't want to rub or pull, just to set the under eye. And you can do the same on the lid if you brought the concealer up on the lid, which I like to do just because it color corrects. And the reason I said to use your fingers to make sure there were no creases in the concealer before you set it is because you will set those creases with the powder if they're still there. So again, just tapping very lightly. Then for a little bit extra of an insurance policy, we're gonna go back with our powder puff into the loose powder. Just gonna swirl it in there. And then we're gonna knock the majority of it off on the back of our hand just to push it into the powder puff. And then we're just gonna do a little bit of setting with that. What setting with the brush firstly does is make sure that when you go in with the powder puff, it doesn't stick directly to the foundation. So when I set it with the brush, it creates a barrier between the concealer and the powder on the puff. And if you need to, you can take a clean brush. This is from Sigma, and just gently brush away any excess powder you might have. And now the last step, I promise, we're gonna go back in with the setting spray and we're going to set what we just did. You wanna keep your eyes closed while you're doing this, just to keep the face relaxed until the setting spray dries. And that is my concealer technique to help prevent creasing. I know it's a couple of extra steps, but incorporating the setting spray into the skin prep along with the little bit of baby baking that we did really helps to increase longevity. I've found that it works for a majority of my clients. Please leave me a comment below and let me know if you've tried this technique. I really hope it does help. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.